he was so energetic and so interested in the gardens. And he also he spent a lot of hours there, and he would be the mentor for young people who worked in the gardens, whether they were the ones that we hired or whether they were volunteers like university students. I know one time, I think he had almost the whole football team there moving mulch. You know, it was really amazing. It was funny too, because I think he commented later that some of those football players didn't really know what kind of gear they needed to have on for working in the gardens. They would come with their fancy tennis shoes, get all messy. But anyway, he really attracted young people, and the person here who works with people who get things like DUIs and they have to do some community service always wanted those people to be at the gardens, especially if they were kind of in their 20s, because Dave often encouraged them and kind of buck them up and help them get past whatever happened. And working in the gardens was really not so much the point, I think, to him as it was that relationship and being somebody who could make a difference in someone's life. That has nothing to do with the Dandapoo Native Gardens, really. But because he was there and because we were a place where people could do their community service, I think he really did touch some lives. I could never find those people now, but I know he made a difference in those people's lives. So that's one thing I can really think about that made him so special that most of us didn't really see happening. I mean, he was there and he would talk about what he did. And once in a while, I would maybe meet the young people he was working with, but he often made connections. I think he also worked over at the university. Maybe he worked in football games, breeder, or I don't know what he did over there, but he made connections and he would bring volunteers to the gardens based on those connections to do things that he saw that needed to be done. A lot of it was mulch. And, in those days, early on, we had only wheelbarrows. So he made sure that we got the best wheelbarrows because, we were basically taking heavy loads up a hill. And then after that, he thought that we needed one of those. It's a garden cart that's electric. It looks kind of like a golf cart, but it has a little dump thing on the back of it. So we bought one of those. And I think he had a little trouble driving it as he got older. We have a pond, and I believe he wound up in the pond at least once, if not twice. But yeah, that was really funny. And as he got older and his legs didn't do so well, he would still come to the gardens. But, we have kind of an upper area. And then to get to the lower area where most of the work needs to be done, there's a big flight of steps. And he wasn't doing steps anymore. So he would set himself up at the top and tell people what to do and then send them down there to do it. So he didn't he wasn't held back by the lack of ability to move. He continued to make things happen while he was in Boone and show up a lot of days. We don't really keep good records about those things, but he was there. And even recently, when I've been at the gardens, somebody was visiting and said, "What other year when I was here, I met this older gentleman who was so friendly. Is he still around?" I said, "No, that's Dave, but he's moved to Charleston." So even after he left, he was still remembered, and people who would visit would ask about where was Dave? Where's that friendly older gentleman? So, he acted as a greeter, and he was really good. We can't close off the garden, so we don't really have a gate. So it's hard for us to collect entrance fees, even though we have a suggested. Well, when Dave was there, it wasn't so much suggested as, wait a minute, you need to put in your $5 over here. He was really good at just getting people to contribute something. Just making the ask, I guess, was his big thing. I know also that he was very active at Hospitality House, which is our shelter here. I myself cook there, but there's been so much turnover that I have not been able to find someone who actually worked with Dave when he was here. It's been some years. Um, but I put out feelers, and if I can find somebody who can talk about Dave from the hospitality house, I will uh, reach out to you. But there was a time when we nominated Dave for like community service person of the year here. I think it's a Chamber of Commerce thing. And I wrote up something. And at that time, I talked to somebody at the hospitality house. And they told me that he just showed up. And again, he's talking to people who are often in crisis, kind of at a low point in their lives. And he was just the person that would show up there and encourage. So those are my memories of Dave, and they're positive. And um, I did visit Dave one time in Charleston when I was on my way to visit my mom in Georgia, and he showed me around his place there. But I could tell that it wasn't he wasn't able to get out and do like he liked to be able to go out and do, but he had already organized some movie nights and stuff. So he was doing the usual Dave thing, trying to get people together and trying to share things that he thought were important to share. Yeah, I think he was the same person. He just had to find another venue to use his interests and skills after retirement.
Yeah.
And I think for many of us, retirement is a little scary. I'm 77 and still working here. And mostly it's because what will I do next? But Dave found a way to keep contributing, and that was really important.